Welcome everybody. This is activities across grade levels. And today we're going to talk about synchronous engagement. You might be like, well, what's that? Well, like everything else, it's kind of what we want it to be, but it's an opportunity to be like, okay, if you are online with your students, what can you do to kind of build their engagement while together, right? So, definition of synchronous. But nevertheless, we hope that that's useful to you. I've already remembered to turn on the captions twice in one day. Oh my goodness, go out and buy a lottery ticket. All right, and thank yous. We gotta do some thank yous, because in life, there's too many folks who just aren't doing enough thank yous. So we're gonna try to make up for them. Such as Fowler Unified School District. Thank you guys so much for lending us your wildly cool tech coach, Susan, because she's amazing and we're just happy to have her here. It's so cool. Thank you to the KCI, Krause Center for Innovation, and the Merit Program, and all the good folks at Foothill College for helping us with that. Thank you goes out to Richard Byrne and Free Tech for Teachers, which if you haven't spent time on that site, wow, you definitely need to check out all the good stuff that he posts. Over the last 13 years, he's put out 15,000 blog posts. That's a lot of blog posts. He's a great guy, so you know. All right, anyway, he and I do a little thing called Two EdTech Guys Take Questions and Share Cool Stuff. And we set something of a record today in terms of like finding cool stuff to share in the links. So if you go to the Next Vista webinars page, you can find that recording there along with the slides. This was not the cover, but I just think this is a good one. And the links document as well. So lots of goodies there. We are happy to meet you. We are glad you are with us, and we are hoping that you will be excited by the stuff that we share as we talk about activities across grade levels. So, Susan, please introduce yourself.
Hello, hello. I am Susan. I'm Susan Stewart. I'm an instructional technology teacher on special assignment in Fowler, California. That's a teeny tiny town just outside of Fresno. I have been in my role as a technology coach for over 7 years now, and before that I spent 14 years teaching kindergarten and second grade. I'm a mom of 3, and I really love being here with you all today, sharing about the exciting things that our littlest learners can do with all these great tools we get to share with them.
Absolutely. My name is Rushton. I'm a former high school teacher. I've done some middle school teaching as well, along with some college level teaching, which means Susan and I are ready to talk about stuff across grade level, hence the name, right? The usual stuff. Also spent time as a principal, by the way, and I am the lucky guy that got married to Tabitha Cobbler. Mic drop. There you go. Okay, so Next Vista for Learning is the nonprofit that I run. We have a video library with over 2,700 videos about different things you learn in school and communities around the world and service to others and so much more. I hope that you will give nextvista.org a great look. Oh, Peggy's in the house as well. We got all these great people. And if you sign up for my newsletter today, you could win some caffeine, some Starbucks card goodness. Happy to send it out. And you're like, but I'm already on the list. You can go ahead and sign up and just put in the comment section, I'm already on the list, and we'll put you in the drawing anyway. That's so nice. Happy to help. So I'll get that link in there in just a minute, but I need to explain how this is going to work. So the way this works is we start with the K-2 crowd, then we move on to the grade 3 to 5 crowd, then the middle school, then the high school. And as we do those, we're talking about ideas that we believe are actually valuable across all grade levels. And what you should be listening for is, how do I adapt that for what I like to do? So with that, let's start with the young learners. And Susan, get us going.
Alrighty, so of course our topic is synchronous engagement. And if you have had the pleasure of sitting in a Zoom call with first graders or kindergartners, I'll tell you there's nothing synchronous about having all those little guys on the screen. Sometimes it feels a little bit like I get seasick because you got this one and they're all moving. And when you get a tiled view of first graders, they're all wiggling at their own space. So synchronous is definitely a creative word to use when working with young learners online. However, how can we get those little monkeys engaged in our learning? Just a couple ideas. We know that we want to make our synchronous lessons active. Kids need to be engaged. They need to be a part of what's going on. We like them to have their hands on things. So how do we do that in a synchronous video conference call? So one thing that, we can do, and we shared this a couple weeks ago, but the idea of Jamboard. What I love about Jamboard in my synchronous lessons is that I can model as the teacher, and then I can give kiddos the opportunity to get their hands on that activity and engage with me live. So we can do that whether I'm teaching a small group lesson on phonics or we're doing a whole class check-in. I love using Jamboard for synchronous engagement because we're all participating in a thing together, and it brings together some of that community that maybe we feel like we miss when we're all over the place, not in the same physical room. But we can have them work synchronously, get their hands, be involved. It's something to do besides just listen to the teacher go, wah, 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 right? So it really is a nice way to get those kids involved in the learning, and you can have them show you their learning right there synchronously with Jamboard. Another thing that I've come to love a lot is the Nod extension. So in my schools, we use Google Meet and not Zoom. Now there are features in Zoom that are just part of the tools, right? You've got the ability to raise your hand. You can give those little, if you've got the full Zoom app, you can give the thumbs up. Nod enhances Google Meet by adding some of those features. And with the little ones especially, it's nice to have them engage that visual way. Like if you're with me, give me a thumbs up. Or if you have a question, use your raised hand. So we can do that through the Nod extension. Yep, and it is fun when we start building that as part of the culture and routine. And they're like, got it, teacher, right? And they love putting the little thumb up. And it is just a way to have them engage during that synchronous time. The Nod extension really is a great one. Another tool that talk about synchronous engagement, I've really come to love just in the past several weeks. I've heard about this Pear Deck thing for years, but I just fell in love maybe about 3 weeks ago with Pear Deck, and especially with young learners. They have a number of templates that you can just grab and go with Pear Deck, and they could be math-based, social emotional questions that you can pull in there. They have a lot of resources ready to use. On the left-hand side, you have that example of one of those ready-to-use activities. And we can say, color some yellow, color some pink, how many in all? And because of the way Pear Deck works, students work in their own space, but what the teacher sees is everybody's responses in one space. So that's really nice because the students are able to work on their own version of the slide, and the teacher can see all that synchronous engagement happening. On the right-hand side, you see an example of this teacher had her existing lesson content. She had some text from her adoption. They were doing an annotation activity in 2nd grade. And what she really wanted the students to do was engage in that reading actively. So they were identifying an idea, something that answers a question. She wanted them to return to the text to engage with that. Now, synchronously, they have the paper in front of them. But we've done a lot of things like, do you hold it up, have them take a picture? How do we do that in that moment? We just want to know that they actually underline, highlighted, because we're teaching them how to annotate text. So what Pear Deck allows me to do is use my existing Google Slides, and I hit a button and the kids can actually annotate right on the screen, and then the teacher gets that report. On the next page, you get a view of what the teacher end of that looks like. After everybody has turned in their response, on the next page, we can see that the teacher actually sees all of their answers. So in this example, you can see students had put their little dot. They decided how you doing, thumbs up, thumbs down. So while the student sees their own response, the teacher actually gets a report of everybody's responses in one space. So it's really, really great for kids to be actively engaged in the lesson, whether that's, a variety of things, thumbs up, thumbs down, type in your answer, draw your response. Pear Deck has a wide variety of item types, and many are really appropriate for the young learners as well as learners of all ages.
Hey, Susan, as you look at this particular thing, I mean, like I'm intrigued at how you look at Pear Deck and its strengths. Would you say the top strength of Pear Deck is that, like a lot of other things like Edpuzzle and a number of others, there's just a lot of content ready for you? I mean, it's ready to go. Is that for you the main thing?
There's a lot of content that's ready to go. However, what I like myself even more is that I can add it into my existing content, that it goes both ways, because many teachers do teach from a set of slides or a set of resources. They package their content together. And so the fact that I can add those engagement points in my own content too is huge, because the teachers are setting up their lessons, and with the Google Slides add-on, I open up Google Slides and I can just insert that quick CFU, that quick check for understanding, right on top of my existing content as well.
Ready for our upper elementary group?
Absolutely. Let's continue on. So when we start getting up in the grades, one of my greatest ways with a basic tool that we've been using for years is that ability to collaborate in a set of Google Slides. Now, this isn't something you do on day one, right? We build up to this because there is some digital citizenship conversations that needs to be had when we're all working in a common space. But once we assign everybody their own Google Slide, and whether that's individuals or maybe that is small groups, I can have students, answer a question, insert a picture, whatever it is we're doing, everyone gets their own page. But the big game changer for me when it comes to this is actually something I learned from my friend and our friend, Ed Campos, is being able to change the slide layout view. Because typically when we look at a set of Google Slides, we look at one slide big and we see the little thumbnails down the left-hand side. There's a little button right at the bottom of Google Slides that allows me to change that to that tiled view. And so I see the learning happening live, that synchronous engagement. Everybody's working on their slide, or maybe they're not working on their slide. And that helps me with the synchronous engagement part. Say, hey, group 2, how's it going over there? Whether they're in separate meets or in separate breakout rooms, or if they're right here in the meeting live with me, I can just monitor that synchronous engagement. It's very visible. It's out loud right there where I can see as a part of, again, familiar tool Google Slides. And all I did was hit that little button so I can see them all in one view. Huge, huge, huge little tip there to change that up. As we continue on, this is one, and I just heard about this. Was it about 2 weeks ago when you mentioned this for the first time, the Whiteboard.fi? Similar idea. The difference is here is that we're using a different tool. There are some writing implements. We can actually use pen-based tools, whereas Google Slides, we know, sometimes have limitations when it comes trying to actually write. But what we can do here is that each kiddo gets their own board. They can solve, they can write, they can draw, and they can't access each other's. So that Google Slides version of everybody working in one space is really nice when we want that open collaboration. But sometimes those sweet little darlings do interfere with each other by, deleting, moving, sometimes just inadvertently. But what I like about Whiteboard.fi is I get that same idea. I can see all the learning happening live right there in front of me, and they all have their own board. I like it because it's free. I like it because we can collaborate and I can see the synchronous engagement, and the students know that they're going to be held responsible for something, right? Instead of just listening to the teacher talk, they know that every so often I'm going to pause. Okay, now you circle this. Now you draw this. As the teacher, I can actually take my I can take my whiteboard and can push it out to the kiddos too. So I can design a board and then I can push it straight out to my learners through this tool. If the learners have joined my class and it's just a quick little drop a link, they get a code, and we are able to engage and be a part of it that way. So it's really, really great synchronous engagement, free, fast, quick, easy. So that's been a really huge one. Just got probably exploded about 7 days ago with my teachers, and now I'm just getting screenshots like this daily. Look what we did today. Look what we did today. Look how our kids are engaging in the lessons the way they haven't up until now. Because no matter how hard we want them to hold up that whiteboard and show us, there's always something to them holding up a physical whiteboard.
So with this one, do you have like middle school and high school teachers doing this with math?
Absolutely. So unfortunately, we don't have touchscreen devices yet. However, when you start talking about middle school and high school kiddos, so many of them have some of their own devices, just a phone. And so they can actually engage right on their phone as well. So because they join with a code, they can join right whatever device they have in front of them. And yeah, they can do their equations, they're solving, they're writing, they're circling right there on the in that collaborative space.
Nice. Very, very cool. Let's move up to middle school. Let's talk about these special examples of humanity that are the fascinating shifts back and forth between moods every, say, 17, 18 seconds. And the wonderfully cool things that they can say and do when given the chance. So one of the tools you can use, of course, is Padlet, right? So getting kids to begin to just toss ideas forward, can be a whole lot easier if what we've got is a space for them to say, hey, here's what I've got. And Padlet did move from a more expansive free version a couple of years ago to something that is a little more limited, but if you are sticking to the free version, you can still do a lot with this. So you can pull up one of these guys, You can change the background that you see there. And all you have to do is tell people, all right, go to this address, double click on the wall, add your name, and then your thought. And you can't interfere with other people's stuff, which is nice, right? You know, like just like we were talking about a minute ago. And you can also organize them in different ways as well. So the thoughts can be just all over the place. They can be in columns and grouped, you know, with ideas, things like that. Padlet's a nice one for being able to pull a lot of ideas together fairly quickly. I'm a big fan of Quizizz. So those of you who are fans of Kahoot, right, which is a great tool, will probably be intrigued if you've not seen this one before. Quizizz is a tool that allows us to find, okay, here's a game, you know, it's a quiz game that's been put together. And I want to put this together in such a way that I can use it when I'm in person with the kids or when we're online or anything like that. And one of the things I quite like about it is that the questions appear in a different order for each person. That's the default anyway. So you can do it in more of a mode where everybody's working on the same questions as one at the same time, a la Kahoot, right? But you've also got the ability to say, no, you know, I just want people to deal with this in a bit more free-form way. If somebody wants to spend more time with a question, they can, rather than sometimes the stress that's associated with, ooh, everybody's moving on, I wasn't ready, right? Or that kind of thing. And like Kahoot, there are a lot of quizzes that have been created and shared in there. And so you can take it if you hover over it, and you can see quite a few things. Let's take a look at that, because I'm just such a fan of not reinventing the wheel, let's just call it. So when you first come into Quizizz and you're signed in, then you say, okay, like, what am I searching for? And maybe what I'm searching for is, what's it, we'll call about environmental science. We'll go with that. Probably come up with something better if I thought about it, but still. All right, and so there's loads, right? Here's one on climate change, you know, and as you hover over this guy, you start seeing the different questions that are over here. And what you're looking for with something like Quizizz is a set of answers that can generate discussion. So, you know, when we talk about a game, all right, it's a game, fine. But really what we want are cool and interesting ideas to come forth as a function of using the game. And so maybe what you have is kids writing questions themselves, where they're supposed to come up with a right answer and 3 plausible wrong answers, so that they can say, yeah, so if somebody misunderstood this, they would guess that. And then that allows them to really get some misconceptions out and talk about those pieces. And it can take them to the next level with regard to how they think about these pieces. I just like that there are so many things that have already been done. So this one's already been played 2,500 times, and this one 3,900 times, and 4,300 times. A lot of options that are out there. So shout out to Quizizz, cool tool. And if you're like, do you like it better than Kahoot? Actually, what matters is what your students think. So like do one with the students with Kahoot, see what they say. Do one with Quizizz, see what they say. And then say, which do you prefer for your learning and why? And that kind of question is a good one. I'm also a big fan of Flippity. All right, and so Flippity is one of these tools that if you don't know about Flippity, this is like a little Swiss Army knife doodad for you right there. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a look at Flippity. And one thing that can scare people a little bit on the Flippity side is that to do this, you pull up a template, you then you have to publish the sheet as a web page, and then you can go into it. And for some people, it's like, well, they have this skip the spreadsheet situation happening over here, which is really quite, Susan, I think I learned about this from you, as a matter of fact. And what you do is you have your list of things. So this could be, say, the names of your students. You can just paste all that in, and then click random name picker. And it's like, all right, fine. Here we go. Click on it. And looks like today we're going to be calling on China. Ni hao. All right. So, you know, that kind of thing. So there are a lot of tools within this. So even in the specific tool name picker, you look up here and you see all these options. I want groups of 3. Done. And you're like, oh, no. We can't have Japan and China together, so we're going to change Japan and the United States as we go as well. All right, so we'll come back to it, you know, and there's just a lot of different options. You can say, I want this many teams, or I want to do a seating chart. Someday we'll get back to seating charts, right? And a lot of possibilities with Flippity. So good tool. Question, by the way, Susan, for you. I have got quite the noise coming in from my window. Is that something you can hear?
A little bit. It's not terribly distracting, but it sounds like you got, is it a lawnmower or a blower?
Yeah, yeah. Looks like somebody out there might be getting ready to fell a tree for all I know, and it's wildly distracting to me. But I'll just soldier on. So let's move to high school. So what is it about high school we can do in the synchronous engagement space? Well, I love using images. I just love using images. And there are so many things that you can do to set a good tone with your students in using images. So in this particular one, for example, this is one that I did years ago. I was visiting a school in Milan, Italy. They were like, "We'd like you to come to our school." I said, "All right, well, I'm sure there are times, we've got a pretty packed fall, but where's your school?" "Milan, Italy." "Oh, I can be there. I can go. Not a problem." So at any rate, I was doing this kind of creativity and excellence thing with their students. And I had these two pictures, and I said, okay, your job at your tables is to come up with a story that combines the picture on the left with the picture on the right. And I was getting some good stories all day. Some of the usual candidates were there, zombie apocalypse. There's all kinds of possibilities. One group came up with this story. They said, okay, so the picture on the left, that's the present. And the picture on the right, that's the past. And in the past, they dreamed of being able to travel on things like trains. But in the present, they dream of the peace and simplicity of the past. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, that's cool. Wow, right? And everybody's like, wow, right? The idea is that if you are giving students the idea to create connections, and this can be like a single image with a connection to something you've been studying for the last 2 weeks, where they describe their thinking with regard to how the connection works, you are seeing something in them that you will not see if all you do is validate right answers. Yes, you're right. No, you're not, right? I mean, what you really need is for them to have that chance to give you a little bit of energy on this as well. So I see this possibility in it. Ooh, let's work with that. And especially when somebody's going to be like, okay, here's this thing. And everybody's like, ah, that's so cool. That's incredibly validating to a student. So in terms of engaging kids creatively, get them using images to draw connections to different things that they're learning from you or between what you teach them and other classes, so that everything doesn't just seem so siloed. So I've got links there to Unsplash, which has tons of great images that are available, and Creative Commons Search, another great tool for finding stuff that you can legally use for free, even if you're posting it online where other people can see. Second item in the high school space, Screencastify. You're like, Screencastify? Why are you talking to us about Screencastify? That'd be like an asynchronous tool right there, just so probably for assessment or something. Yes, you can do all that. However, one of the most interesting things that can happen in a class is when students do presentations. Don't get me wrong, that can also be one of the most deadly boring things that happen, depending on how everything gets set up and how they practice and how they work with each other on it. However, in this kind of online environment, if students know that they have this limited time frame is a very, very good idea. A limited time frame to make a pitch about something they're doing. Maybe what they're doing is they're explaining how they feel this particular idea could be useful to their community, but they have to get it down to 60 seconds. This kind of, and what you're doing is you're recording it as you go. That means that they're kind of on stage. They have to perform. You've given time for them to practice with each other. They've actually done things like record the feedback they get from other students, explain why they decided to follow or not follow the suggestion as a part of that, because they have to learn to get and give feedback, right? So if someone says, I think you should do this and this and this, and they're thinking that's a terrible idea, they still learn to say, well, thank you. And then they write it down and they're like, terrible idea for this reason. Okay, that's okay. But what we want is for them to be in that space where where they're feeling the opportunity to really do something at the moment, to rise to the occasion. So speaking of rising to the occasion, we have given you quite a few ideas over the past 25 minutes, and a little reminder that I always toss in on these. In order to properly care for our kiddos and their learning, we have to do a good job caring for ourselves, right? That means like getting enough sleep and eating right and getting out for walks and getting away from the screen from time to time. And that can give us the energy to put up with outside noise in effective ways. See what I did there? And also just be ready for that message for when a kid needs you to say something really creative. There is a newsletter that I put out, and as I mentioned, or may have, I think I mentioned, I'm giving away A caffeine card. That's not even what that is. So the caffeine card is a Starbucks card that I am going to toss out. I did say that. I remember this now. Where if you sign up, if you're already on the list, just in the comment section, but no, I'm already there. That's okay. I'll still put you in the drawing. And my intention is later tonight to draw and send a Starbucks card to somebody. So last week I forgot to actually do it. Figured that out this morning. And as a result, I just sent a card to everybody who signed up. What? How cool is that? Wow! I just figured that's just a fun way to have Thursday go. All right, guys. So I have a blog that I hope you'll take a look at, Inspiring Improvement. I have books that I hope you'll take a look at as well. These are designed to help you become a better teacher, help you work with your team to get better, that kind of thing. And especially if you are like, I want to do kind of a little book study with some colleagues on this. Would you connect with us and talk to us? Answers, yeah, sure. You bought some books. That's really nice. So happy to do it. All right. If you got some questions, stick around after we finish the recording. However, we need to do kind of the proper finish. So let us let you know that next week we'll be doing activities across grade levels, and the theme will be arts and culture. We're going to focus on the Google Arts and Culture tool, which is amazing, and similar stuff. And we are excited to share that with you. We hope you will be joining us for that. Susan, wind us down.
All right, friends, thank you, thank you. I hope that was a good use of your 30 minutes. My name is Susan. You can find me on the internet at Tech Coach Susan. And also you can see what we're doing with our K2 kiddos and what many K2 teachers are doing with their young learners, creating and sharing and all the awesomeness that come along with that under the hashtag K2Can2. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us today.
My name is Rushton. I am a former teacher and former principal and love doing this kind of work with my little nonprofit. I love the cool things that pop up in the chat. I saw that Peggy actually was talking to us about some great new things in Quizizz. There's been some real advances in the last 6 months because the companies have figured out, we've got an audience of people that are paying attention to possibilities at the moment. And they've all jumped on it, and lots of them have come up with some really cool things. Earlier today, and two EdTech guys take questions and share cool stuff, I talked about Prezi Video and how Prezi has actually added this kind of cool way of creating videos that have stuff kind of coming in and out. It's pretty impressive, good stuff. And we hope that you are finding some good things in the things we are sharing. We hope you'll stick around for the next few minutes as we wind everything down. And I certainly hope that you are going to sign up for that newsletter, which I will add to the chat here in mere moments. But with that, we would just like to say thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you next week.